Good evening, my followers of fear. It is I, Rami Unger. If you're watching this video, that means it is May 1st, 2025, or sometime after. And if you're watching this video, it means I have died. No, I haven't. I have not died, but I've always wanted to say that. No, but I'm here for a very different reason. You see, it's finally here. Symphony for Walpurgis has been released. Today, on Walpurgis night, when witches are about having their sabbats and partying with demons, Symphony for Walpurgis has been released. And you know what? I'm very happy about it. I'm very excited. This book, I've been working on it for several months, and it's been a real labor of love to get it out into the world. And I'm just really happy right now that I can share it with everyone. So I decided to do a little video, but what was I going to do in the video? Just talk about the book? I mean, what else can I say? I've already told you it's 9 short stories featuring tales of cryptids, malevolent spirits, a Jewish exorcism. I've told you all about that already, ad nauseum. And if I haven't, if this is your first time hearing it, well, then this book's my latest collection, and it's a collection of stories that include tales of cryptids, malevolent spirits, and even a Jewish exorcism. And yes, we have those. We don't do them often, but we have them. But then I had an idea. Why not do a little reading from the book? Great! What do I read about? Which story do I read from? Do I read from Famous, which has those cryptids in it? Or maybe disillusionment and trauma sometimes go hand in hand, which contains a rather terrifying monster. And, well, actually a few monsters. Not all of them are human, but some of them are. Or do I? Or where else do I read from? Maybe The Little Goddess of Horror, which is about the life of a very unusual actress. In the end, followers of fear, I decided to go with something a little different. The introduction. Now, hear me out. This isn't an introduction like other books. There isn't going to be some long spiel about the art of writing or how this book came to be. That I save for the end of the collection. But I digress. Let me read from the introduction. You walk into the theater lobby, and it is sumptuous. The ceilings and walls are inlaid with gold leaf, while the balcony railings on the second floor are made entirely of the stuff. You can see them as you step into the theater, metalwork so beautiful and intricate it practically glows in the light of the chandelier. The chandelier itself is opulent, the kind the Phantom of the Opera would hesitate to crash, because of how lovely it is. And this is just the lobby. What does the actual theater look like? You glance to your left and then to your right. Grand staircases covered in rich red carpeting lead to the second floor, where the concession stands and the bathrooms are located. You wonder if you should go up, use the toilet, grab some food and drink, and enjoy the theater a bit more. Oh no! Too late! The doors to the theater proper are open, and the crowd is rushing in, carrying you along with it. You took too long to decide, and now you're stuck in a crush of bodies, unable to extricate yourself. You can't control the flow of the crowd. You are swept away in the current. And if a pair of hands hadn't grabbed you and pulled you out of the torrent of attendees, you might lose your footing and get crushed to death. The pair of hands that pulled you out of the crowd is a stern-looking, middle-aged woman in a red vest. An usher. You try to thank her, your voice trembling from the experience, but the usher ignores you and looks at your ticket, which you don't remember handing to her. She tuts, saying you're in the wrong section, and pulls you by the arm to your section near the front of the auditorium, the section with the best view of the stage. She deposits you in your seat and goes off to help other guests, leaving you flabbergasted. You never got to thank her, and she didn't even give you a program. With nowhere to go, the other seats are filling up quickly and nobody seems eager to get up, let alone let you out to pee. And deciding you are here anyway, you do the only thing you can. You look at the theater, and the people in the theater with you. The theater itself is as sumptuous as the lobby. Red and gold everywhere. There are intricate carvings in the walls and around the stage, chandeliers made with carnival glass and more gold. Even the seat you sit in, which is only slightly more comfortable than an airplane seat on an hours-long flight, is ornate, mahogany wood, and plush velvet fabric a bright scarlet color. But what's more fascinating than the theater, if that was possible, are what people are wearing. Some are dressed up as you might expect for a performance like this, suits and elegant dresses and the like. Others are dressed more casually, not caring that they wear sweatshirts and jeans and the like. They've come for a show, not to impress anyone with their best finery. But many more, are dressed in black. Black shirts, black jackets, black pants, black dresses, black skirts, black hats, black hair, black makeup, black canes, black accessories, black bags. Are they all goths? Or are they all dressed up for a Dracula party? Whatever the reason, you get the feeling that the people here dress this way to alert their followers that they are members of the same club. Look and see, they say. I am like you. I am an enthusiast for the same thing you are. And that thing they're all enthusiasts for? Why, horror, of course. They love the dark and the macabre, the spooky and the terrifying, and with that comes an image which, while kind of stereotypical, they like to embody nonetheless. Besides, it looks damn cool. And perhaps you are like them. Perhaps you dressed up all in black, a fellow enthusiast for the dark and macabre. Or maybe you wear smart clothes, wanting to look your finest. Or you could be dressed casually, wearing whatever you please. You may even be dressed in pajamas. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. You do you, friend. I won't judge. In fact, I likely won't even see you. You see, the lights have gone out, and the announcement against photography or video during the show has gone out over the PA system. And I, your composer and conductor, have walked out into the orchestra pit. An orchestra pit that you've only just noticed, which is weird because you've been listening to the orchestra tune up since you got here. But only now do you notice them. Hear the flutes and the horns and the strings going through the scales. Perhaps that's because this isn't an ordinary orchestra. Can you see through the darkness that has enveloped the theater? Can you gaze into the orchestra pit and make out the musicians? Yes, you can. And you can see that not all the musicians are human. Some have bird heads, while others have tentacles. One or two are clearly demons, and a few you don't have names for. Nor do you have names for all the instruments they wield. Sure, you recognize the usual suspects, the violins, the flutes, the drums, the piano. But there are many that you can't identify, because they don't look like they were made on this planet. One or two look like they were made of words that have risen off the pages of books and wrapped themselves into shapes meant to be manipulated. Words turned into instruments. Can you imagine? Well, I suppose you can, now that you're seeing it. And seeing it confirms something for you. This is not an orchestra you can find in the real world. This is the orchestra of the mind, which can only be found in your imaginations. I've had the pleasure of working with this orchestra many times. I compose the music, and they bring the music to life in your mind's eye as I conduct them. It's like that one movie by a certain mouse-dominated company. Only this show is much creepier than anything dreamed up for that masterpiece. And that's because I'm a composer of nightmares. And in this production of terrors you will see in your mind's eye tonight, I bring you 9 compositions, like the 9 symphonies Ludwig van Beethoven wrote and conducted himself, even as his hearing went, and his body ached horribly from stomach and kidney issues, and his mood swung like a pendulum in true rock star fashion. But these 9 compositions, unlike Beethoven's symphonies, are not pretty things. No, my compositions are tales of death and darkness, of revenge and desire and blood, of spirits and beasts and things best left out of sight, lest they frighten us all with their terrifying nature. Of how easy it is to fall into hell. All you need to do is to take 2 steps in the wrong direction and congratulations! You've stepped into perdition. And once you're there, you might never crawl out. But you'll see soon enough. The lights are down, and you might have noticed that both theater and audience look different. Statues of massive demons now hold up the ceiling on either side of the stage and gaze down upon the boards with stoic eyes. Meanwhile, some in the audience have taken on forms that can only be described as monstrous. They breathe and snort and slather and salivate, the most eager of the audience to see this production. The most eager, that is, besides maybe you. You could be one of my longtime followers of Fear, the group who have followed my career and already familiar with my compositions, in which case, welcome back, dear friends. Always happy to see you. Or you could be new to me and my work, in which case, welcome. I hope you enjoy what you experienced tonight. Speaking of tonight, did you know it is the feast of St. Walpurga, or Walpurgis Nacht? Yes, it is. Celebrated between the beginning of the night of April 30th and goes through sunset on May 1st. According to legends about St. Walpurga, she was an 8th century abbess who did away with diseases, witches, and the demons who worked with them. Praying for her intercession was thought to help against witchcraft and demonic oppression. The date of her feast coincides with the date of her canonization, which occurred in 870. But this night also has another name, Hexennacht, or Witches' Night. It's one of the nights in the calendar where the powers of evil are at their strongest, and witches hold their Sabbats. Ironic, considering it's also the feast day of the saint known for banishing witches. And maybe that's why, among both those who fear and those who revere the power of darkness, the 2 opposing celebrations have merged. When you mention Walpurgis Nacht, Walpurgis Night, Witches' Night, the Feast of St. Walpurga, or any of a dozen other names, those in the know understand what you are referring to. They'll know you are referring to a night where it's best to be careful when venturing out at night, lest a witch get you before the saint does. Anyway, enough talking. I'm standing here in my coattails, My conductor's baton that looks more like an evil fairy's magic wand at the ready, and you're in your seat on this most unholy of nights, waiting for the show to start. You're even breathing heavily, anticipating the show alongside every other audience member, human or otherwise. I shan't keep you waiting any longer. I begin to swing my baton, purple sparks spitting from the tip as it flies through the air. The orchestra of the mind begins to play an unsettling theme, and the curtains on stage, which are black as midnight, rise to thunderous applause. Welcome to Symphony of Walpurgis. And that's all I'm going to read to you tonight, my followers of fear. I hope you enjoyed that. If you would like to find out what happens, if you would like to read more, you can find the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Apple Books. Available in paperback and ebook from both Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and available in ebook only from Apple and Kobo. And if you like what you read, please leave a review. Positive or negative, I love reader feedback, and it helps me and other readers out in the long run. And until next time, my followers of fear, good night, happy Walpurgis night, and pleasant nightmares. I'll see you in the next video.